Hello everyone, this is Laura Odendahl, and I'm presenting the Flipped Classroom. What is a flipped classroom? Well, it's an approach to teaching that replaces the traditional lectures by the teachers in class with instructional materials, often videos, that students watch and interact with at home. The next day, the students apply what they learned through a variety of activities and assignments that would have been homework in a traditional classroom. So look at the picture. On the left, you have the traditional classroom, where all the students are in rows of chairs, the teacher's up front giving a lecture. Their homework assignment is to read and answer questions for the next day. In the flipped classroom on the right, the students are grouped into small pairs and triplets. The teacher is coming around from group to group, interacting, talking, answering questions, helping in however way they need to. We don't know what the activity is on the board, but they're doing some sort of activity. They're engaged. And their homework is called preparation, and that's to watch the lecture online, and that's to prepare them for the next day. Speaking of videos, there's a tip that the videos should be no more than 3 to 10 minutes in length. That's per topic. So if you have like a 30-minute lecture, you can put it, chunk it, so that you have like 3 10-minute lectures instead of one long 30-minute lecture. Now, this is a saying that you will hear again whenever someone talks about flipped classrooms. I'm going to click on the audio.
Teachers change from being the sage on the stage to the guide on the side.
Remember Bloom's taxonomy that we learned about? Well, look on the traditional approach. You have the pyramid, and that base at the bottom shows that during class, you have sort of the most basic level of learning taking place, when you're just being introduced to a topic and maybe some memorization. And then after class, you are analyzing and applying the information when you're doing your homework, answering questions, maybe writing an essay. And hopefully you're also being creative and have a chance to evaluate. But that's all after class. Whereas in a flipped classroom, they're showing a diamond shape. And the part where you're just getting the information, that's before class. During class, you'll have projects and other things to work on. Perhaps you'll write the essay in class. And that's when you can analyze and apply the information, ask the teachers or perhaps your peers for help or clarification. Also, during class, you should have opportunities to create and evaluate. But maybe you're working on a project that you need to continue after school, and that in that sense, homework. So you might still be creating and evaluating at home. So the main point, though, is that in a flipped classroom, there's more time for higher levels of thinking. And that's really like that critical type of thinking. That's another one of our 5 C's. That's really one of the big advantages of a flipped classroom. So there's some other benefits for why you should flip your classroom. With regard to students, it helps busy students. It helps struggling students. And students of all abilities are able to excel. You can differentiate your learning more easily when you're grouping students of different levels. Students can literally pause and rewind their teacher and just watch that video as many times as they need to get an understanding or to get step to step. It also increases student-to-student interaction. Those collaborative learning, another one of the 5 C's, and even just basic social skills that our students can use some practice with. This also benefits the parents. Flipping educates the parents on the very subjects that you're teaching, the way your classroom is working. Flipping makes your class transparent. They can see right away. They can watch the videos too and see what exactly you're teaching them. And their student will hopefully tell them all the cool stuff that you're teaching them in class. Now, why you should flip your classroom for teachers, there are many benefits. It increases the student to teacher interaction and allows you to get to know your students better, to form those relationships that is key to teaching and the reason so many of us are getting into teaching. It also changes classroom management. In a flipped classroom, it is not going to be quiet. The students get to talk. It's also okay for the students to get up and, maybe go over to another group and say, hey, we're doing it this way. What way are you doing that? And learn from each other. It certainly supports differentiated learning. I've talked about that in the previous slide. Another thing is that this is a good technique for when you're out and you have a substitute. The videos, the hard teaching of getting the information across has already been done. Basically, the substitute can have the students just continue with whatever projects they are working on, or they can show the video again in class if they need to. Now, there are some reasons why you should not flip your classroom. If you think that you want to be this cool teacher who has a 21st century classroom, no. Pedagogy should always drive technology, not the other way around. If it makes sense for your class, and it doesn't even have to be a classroom where it's constantly flipped. It might be just certain lessons that you find work well with flipping. That makes sense. Don't just do it just because it's the latest, greatest thing. Same thing with to be cutting edge. If you think that this shows off your technology skills, no, because flipping is not really the latest technology. You're creating videos. Really what is impressive is what you do in the classroom. If you think it exempts you from being a good teacher, no. You might think, oh, I don't even have to lecture. I can just get videos off of YouTube and have someone else teach my class. Nope, doesn't work that way. There's so much more to teaching, as we all know, than just delivering the content. If you think it's going to make your job easier, no, sorry. Flipping will not make your job easier. You actually need to dig deep into your subject and really teach at a higher level in order to engage the students and guide them effectively. Let's learn a little bit more about the idea of flipped lessons. I'm going to click on this audio.
Merely flipping your homework and lecture doesn't mean you're unlocking all the benefits of flipped learning. True flipped learning is about opening up class time and transforming it into hands-on, differentiated, and even personalized learning experiences.
Okay. So you might be wondering, what sort of things are you doing in class? Well, it's the opportunity for active learning. When the students are in class, they get to interact with you, the teacher. They get to ask each other for help and for feedback on whatever projects they're working on. It's a great opportunity for peer learning. They can learn from each other, not just asking questions, but actually teaching lessons to each other. You can set it up that way. And we all know that if you can teach a subject, you've got a very deep level of understanding. The collaborative learning that we've talked about as one of the 5 C's. And also problem-based learning. You can have a problem that they can work on the short term, or even a whole semester-long project that they can work on in class and get constant feedback instead of turning this huge thing in at the end and then finding out what the grade is. Obviously, this works well for discussions or debates. I think of that for like social studies class, instead of the teacher telling you, oh, there's this topic and there's pros and cons and looking at this subject, you can have them in class work out what that is and then give a debate on it or a discussion. And if you think about it, you could then have them debate it and then switch it on them. Say, okay, now you do the other side. So those are the kind of classes that your students are going to remember more than if you just stood up there and said, here are the pros and cons. Now, one thing you might be wondering is, how do I know if the students did the homework? I mean, if they're not watching the video on content, they're not going to learn that much. Well, you use daily checks or formative assessments. This can be done at the start of class. You could have literally paper questions like entrance tickets, or they can be embedded in your homework videos. I have here a couple of websites. Quiz.com allows students to play gamified assessments either individually at home or as a group in the class. Ed.ted.com has you share a video, a YouTube video in private mode, and then you can create a quiz or give links. And then you could also have the students give responses online, all within a private setting. So that's pretty cool too. Now, what if a student doesn't do the homework? Oh, what do you do? Well, that student has to do it in class. And guess what? They're not going to be happy when their friends are all in their little groups and they're talking and they're working on some sort of project that's way more interesting than having to sit here and with headphones on by yourself listening to the video. But if that's what they have to do, that's what they have to do. And they probably won't do it again. Yes, it's assessment time. So I have for you a QR down below and a URL. Either way, you can get to my assessment. I think I made it not too hard. So please take the time to fill that out. I appreciate it. And I want to say a thank you for listening to my video. And if you have any questions, wonder where I got the information or something like that, please feel free to email me at my Shenandoah email account. All right, have a great day. Bye-bye.